I would show you before we did the mandibular motions is just what I would do for cervical passive range of motion. Again, I wouldn't measure these. I'm really just assessing the quality of the motion and the end field. Professor Roberts, do you ever measure passive range of motion for cervical? We should not be teaching. We're too honest. We measure everything, always. The quality and the segmental motion, yeah. Okay, so I actually showed you lateral flexion already, so that's where I'm putting the side of my finger at each segment, and I'm just going, and instead of moving her head, I'm actually kind of fulcruming at each segment. Okay, so that's what I would do for lateral flexion. On occasion, if I think that she had, if I was worried about her muscular tightness, I might put my hand there, hold the shoulder down, and get a feel of how tight she is. So can you see, you guys on this side, if I just put a little bit of pressure on her shoulder, how much her upper trap is popping out? So if I come this way, sorry about here, you see that just putting, so her upper trap is really tight. Do you see her muscles just pop out? Just with that little bit of pressure. Now for rotation, so the other thing I didn't say is typically I would do this all with the person's head off the table, because then I'm not fighting the table all the time. It really takes a person's trust to do that, and I'm pretty sure I don't have anybody's trust in those. If you have someone off the table, you're just able to test full motion, because one of the motions, if someone has a disc herniation in the cervical spine, one motion that you're really going to want to look at is a passive extension, because that's a good way to centralize that disc. If you want me to, I can show you that. Otherwise, how I would just do rotation would be here, and I would just be turning. So that looks pretty good, but her lateral flexion didn't look super hot. Okay. So I can eyeball that and see that she can pretty much get full range of motion in her rotation. If she couldn't actively, then I would wonder why. Now it might be posture, because I would never do passive range of motion in any other position than in supine. And so if she's not getting it in sitting, was I maybe not being very careful about her posture? Okay. I can't think of a time when I am looking at passive range of motion of full flexion like this. It's just not a motion I would do. If I was going to be looking at flexion and extension, I would be doing it segmentally. Again, I'm left-handed, I would be using the radial side of my index finger, and I would be coming up on each spinous process, and then coming back down into flexion with my right hand. So I'm going up into extension with my left, and pulling her up into flexion with my right. Okay, so I'd be testing segmental motion, which you have done at C2 either. But I wouldn't do the big motions. Now again, if I suspected that someone had a cervical disc herniation or protrusion, I would have them come off the table and I would try taking them into extension to see if that improved their symptoms. Okay? Alright. Alright, Gina, I'm going to have you sit up for me. We're going to do some mandibular motions. Anyone have any questions about the passive range of motion? Again, that's more for me to get an idea of the quality of motion more than it is for me to take a measurement. I'm actually going to take that check from you, Melissa, sorry. But I'll trade you here. Okay. Okay. You scored on that. The wheels are always better. Up there for me. So we've got 3 different measurements that we're going to take for mandibular motion. So we have depression, which is simply mouth opening. So is depression, okay? For protrusion, you open your mouth just enough to clear the teeth, and then you're going to jut your jaw forward. So protrusion is this. Okay, I know. And then we're going to measure lateral deviation, which again, you're going to open the teeth just enough to clear, and then you're going to go off to the side. So, okay, but it's important that you're not doing it with the mouth wide open. Okay, so Trina, we're going to take some measurements to see how well the 2 joints that move your jaw are moving. So the first thing I'm gonna have you do is show me your teeth. Yeah, there you go. And I'm just gonna pull your lower lip down. Okay, good. So what I'm looking for is do her upper and lower teeth line up? Because I'll need to know that a little bit later. And also then I can know if they do line up, then I can use those to be my landmarks for my measuring. If they don't line up, then I need to find something that is perpendicular to one another. Okay? So what I'm going to have you do is simply open your mouth as wide as you can. Good. And then pull your lower lip down. Okay, good. And she's at 4.1 centimeters. So I'm resting the top of this right up on her bottom tooth. And then I'm putting my thumb where I can get to where it is hitting the top of her bottom tooth. Okay, I'm measuring that in centimeters. Now this one's a little bit of a goofy one. It's not something we commonly do. What I want you to do is jut your jaw forward so you can go like this. Okay, now hold on. Now what I'm going to have to do is stick this on your tooth again and then measure how far you come out. Don't worry about your lips. I'll take care of them. So you just stick your teeth out. Okay, good. And so that was 4 millimeters. Okay.
You're measuring like the distance between the front teeth and the bottom teeth.
Yes, exactly. And I'm again putting this up against her tooth, and now I'm measuring it to the outside of your bottom teeth. Okay? Because I'm going from outside to outside. Okay, the next one that we're going to measure is deviation. So what I'm going to have you do is move your jaw to your left when I ask you to, so you're going to go like this. Perfect. And again, you just keep doing it. I'm going to lower. Okay, and she was at 0.8 millimeters. Okay, and then we could do the other side as well.
That's from like middle space to middle space?
As long as the spaces line up. Okay?
Are there any norms for these or just, no?
It all depends on just even the size of the person.
How'd you measure the last one, side
So you're measuring from the gap between the top two
Yeah.
teeth and then the gap of the bottom two teeth as they move over. Okay?
And if they don't line up, you're finding something that does.
Right, right. So our chompers have little grooves on the bottom, so it may be that if they don't line up, you know that you have to go one groove over on the left front tooth, something like that. So you want to find some kind of landmark to measure that. Okay?
How would you know if somebody has a little bit of like,
An overbite.
yeah, just like a slight one, because like my teeth slide just in front of my bottom ones.
So does everyone understand the question? If the resting position is in a little bit of a, is that an over or under? Oh, this
Overbite.
is,
This is an override.
that's an over and this is an under. So if their resting position is a slightly under or over, what I would do is document that as their postural position. So I would say resting protrusion, and then I would say either minus or plus. So this being plus and this being minus. Okay? But I would document that separately from the actual motion. Okay? All right, why don't you try those three?